I grew up in a city where the nights felt heavier than the days. My mother worked double shifts, so most evenings I sat alone in our small apartment, listening to the muffled rumble of the subway beneath the floor. That sound became my lullaby, the only constant in my life. I used to imagine people down there, faces I'd never meet, stories I'd never know, moving through tunnels like ghosts. I clung to that noise because emptiness scared me more. When I turned 14, I started riding the subway alone, convincing myself it made me brave. But really, I just wanted to feel like someone was around me, even strangers. I thought the movement, the lights, the crowds would drown out the loneliness. I didn't realize the subway could hide things far worse than being alone. I didn't know it could remember me. The first time something felt wrong, it was a Wednesday night. The platform was nearly empty, just me and an old man reading a newspaper. But the tunnels? They were louder than usual. A strange metallic scraping echoed from deep inside, slow and dragging, like something heavy being pulled along the tracks. I tried to ignore it, but the old man lifted his head, his face pale. "Not again," he whispered. I didn't understand what he meant. The train arrived, doors sighing open. I stepped inside, but the scraping grew sharper, closer, echoing through the car even after the doors shut. There were no other passengers, no movement, just the dim lights and that slow, unnatural drag. When the train lurched forward, I heard a soft voice behind me, breathy, almost childlike, saying my name. I spun around. No one was there. I kept telling myself it was nothing, just the hum of the train playing tricks on me. But as we entered the next tunnel, the lights flickered. In the stuttering shadows, I saw a figure sitting at the far end of the car. A woman, her head tilted, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She wore a long, dark coat I recognized instantly. It was my mother's. I blinked hard, trying to steady my breathing. She was supposed to be at work. She shouldn't be here. The light steadied, and her face came into view. Not fully, just enough. Her skin looked wrong, stretched, too tight, her eyes wider than they should have been. She didn't blink. She just stared at me with that distorted version of my mother's face. "You ride alone too much," she said softly. "Let me keep you company now." My throat tightened. "Mom?" I whispered, even though I knew it wasn't her. The woman's lips curled into a slow, unnatural grin. "You're still so lonely," she murmured, her voice layered. My mother's tone buried beneath something deeper, raspier. She stood, her movements jerky, almost puppet-like. The train screeched, lights trembling again. "I've watched you grow up down here," she said. "You cling to the subway like it's all you have." Her footsteps echoed across the empty car as she moved closer. I backed away until my spine hit the cold metal wall. "You don't have to run," she whispered. Her hand lifted toward my face, fingers long and shadow thin, her nails scraping lightly against the metal poles as she walked. The scraping matched the sound I'd heard earlier, that awful dragging. It was her. It had always been her. I hit the emergency stop button. Nothing happened. The train didn't slow. The lights dimmed to a sickly orange. She was only a few feet away now. I felt her breath before she even touched me. Cold, damp, like air from a deep cave. "I've been waiting for you to notice me," she said. Her face twitched violently, as if someone beneath her skin was trying to break out. "All these years listening to you." My chest tightened. I remembered the nights I sat alone, hearing the subway rattle beneath our apartment. The quiet moments when I whispered to myself just so I wouldn't feel abandoned. You called to me, she said, tilting her head. Your loneliness, it fed me. Her fingers brushed my cheek, ice cold. I couldn't breathe. The train roared into a darker tunnel, one I didn't recognize. No lights, no signs, just endless black. The car shook violently, throwing me to the floor. When I looked up, she was crouched beside me, her face inches from mine. Do you know why this train is empty? She whispered. Why it always feels like something is watching you? Her voice fractured with each word. There are 7 of us, born from the moments people break down here. My heart pounded. 7 cursed things tied to 7 stories that repeat themselves. She leaned closer. You're one of them. My stomach dropped. No, I said, but my voice trembled. She smiled. When you were a child, you cried on these tracks for hours while your mother worked. Do you remember? I did. The night she was late. The night the station attendant found me alone. Something else found you first, she whispered. Something that never let go. I didn't follow you, she said. You followed me. Her eyes widened, pupils stretching like ink bleeding across paper. Every lonely ride, every whispered fear, you fed the tether. The train vibrated beneath us, the walls groaning like something alive. There are 7 cursed stories in this subway, she continued. 7 people who were claimed. Her face twisted again, the motherly shape melting slightly, revealing something skeletal beneath. You're the 7th. My breath stuttered. I'm not dead, I said. She shook her head slowly. Not yet. But you're marked. The lights flickered, and the reflection in the window wasn't mine. It was a shadowed, hollow-eyed version of me. I scrambled back, but she grabbed my wrist with crushing strength. You were chosen when you were small, chosen to replace the one who found you. The train screeched violently as if protesting what she was about to do. The windows blurred with rushing blackness. Let me go, I shouted, pulling against her grip. She tightened her hold, her fingers sinking deeper than skin should allow. You can't escape what you were shaped for, she growled. Her voice no longer resembled my mother's. It was deeper, ancient, vibrating through the car. The doors suddenly slid open while the train was still moving. A roaring wind filled the space, pulling out my clothes, my hair. This is where I leave you, she whispered, and where you take my place. She dragged me toward the open doorway. My feet scraped against the floor, sparks flying from my shoes as they caught metal. No, I screamed, but she didn't stop. The tunnel outside was nothing but darkness, swallowing everything. I grabbed a pole with both hands, holding on with every ounce of strength I had. The wind howled, the tunnel rushing past like a black river. She leaned close to my ear. It only hurts the first time, she whispered. Her cold fingers pried at my grip. I felt myself slipping. Why me? I cried. She paused. Because you were already hollow. The words shattered something inside me. My fingers slipped another inch. My arms trembled violently. Then, suddenly, the train jerked. She loosened her hold, thrown off balance. I used the moment to wrench my hand free and crawl back into the car, gasping. The doors slammed shut. She stared at me, her face twisting in fury. You can delay it, she hissed, but you can't escape it. She vanished, simply blinked out of existence as the train screeched toward the final station. The train slowed. Lights stabilized. For a moment, everything felt normal again. I stumbled out onto the platform, hands shaking, heart pounding. A few people waited there. Real people. I ran past them toward the exit, desperate for open air. But as I reached the stairs, a familiar sound followed me. That metallic scraping, slow, dragging. I froze. The commuters around me didn't react. They didn't hear it. The sound grew louder, echoing up from the tracks. I turned slowly. At the far end of the platform stood a shadowed figure wearing my clothes, my posture, my face, but its eyes were hollow, darker than the tunnels behind it. It lifted one hand and pointed at me. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The scraping grew deafening. Then it spoke in my exact voice. Your story is next.